And finally, let's move on to Sam Smith. So Smith came out as non-binary in 2019. Until recently, that essentially meant him using they, them pronouns and refusing to be recognised as male in various music industry awards. But this week, in the form of his video for I'm Not Here to Be Friends, we got a glimpse of what Sam Smith sees as an authentic expression of non-binary identity. So Sam Smith looking very glamorous in a sort of sequined outfit. His nipples covered in tassels. There's a bit of water sports going on as well. Rakib, what's your reaction to this? Does it help you understand Sam Smith's non-binary identity?
I'm not interested in knowing about Sam Smith's non-binary identity, and my pronouns, to be honest, are fed up. I've seen very short clips of this music video. It's just like many music videos. There's just a great deal of degeneracy involved, if truth be told. It's very cringeworthy. I do find it distasteful. But I think it really does show that, with this whole, non-binary, transgender, all this and that, and all the rest of it, they have incredibly high levels of power and influence within the entertainment industry. That's the truth of it. And I think what you'll actually see as time goes on, there's going to be a growing disconnect between the wider population and the entertainment industry more generally. I've really switched off, to be honest, if truth be told, especially when it comes to this kind of material, if you could call it that. But I do feel that when you're looking at these kind of dynamics at play, I just think that it really shows that, the kind of disconnect between someone like a Sam Smith and probably your average Brit when it comes to these kind of issues and matters of identity.
I mean, Tom, doesn't it just kind of show up that, non-binary isn't really meaningful in any sense?
It's hard to glean particular lessons. I mean, of course, the non-binary thing is fascinating, not least because of people's willingness to go along with it. You know, if Sam Smith can identify however he wants, he can identify as a three-wheel van, as a canary, as whatever he wants. That's completely up to him. But the willingness of people not only to go along with that, to accept that not only can a man become a woman, but a man can become a plural is something entirely different. And I thought it was very interesting this week that you had Richard Madeley of all people, a sort of messenger for a simpler era, it feels like, on Good Morning Britain, having to profusely apologise because he referred to Sam Smith as he, and then also to another, I understand it, non-binary guest on the show as she. Just acknowledging the fact that Sam Smith is male and this guest was female. Like this is the sort of point that we've ended up in. And on the point of it being kind of culturally shocking, whatever, I think there was one particular tweet which said, no one got upset about Like a Prayer, no one got upset about Wrecking Ball, no one got upset about WAP, even though people got upset about all of those things. Because which is quite funny. But there's also a kind of element of this stuff, in a sense, really isn't daring whatsoever. I mean, if you think about the kind of raunch, the kind of controversy stirring sort of gay pop music of the recent past and so on. First of all, a lot of it was a lot better than what Sam Smith is making. I think if anything, his music was never up to much snuff, but I think there is a kind of element of this is all he's got now, is, kind of fighting his culture war, as it were, to be addressed with the pronouns that he wishes to be addressed to.
He used to dress like quite plainly, just in a normal suit, look like your next door neighbour or something.
Yeah, he's been on a journey, as we all have. But so it's not necessary. It's, if anything, is kind of, the pose is not kind of two fingers up to society. It's kind of, I dare you not to go along with this. And I think the treatment of Richard Madeley is a good example of that. Because, Sam Smith is an interesting cultural phenomenon to the extent that everything has to kind of bow down around him. He effectively is credited with dissolving the gender categories at the Brit Awards, for instance. He again, heads will roll on national television if people refer to him not in the quote-unquote wrong pronouns. It feels like every newspaper almost instantly and instinctively have gone along with the they thing without giving it a moment's thought. So it's not kind of a sense of rebellion, of pushing back, of being a bit outrageous, but also creating great culture at the same time. The culture, such as it is kind of naff and a bit odd, and it's kind of just daring you to disagree with it rather than actually pushing at any boundaries. If anything, it's kind of suggesting all of the boundaries have kind of been dissolved. And how do you push back against anything in those kinds of circumstances? So whilst, of course, you can understand, the sort of simulated golden shower, the raunch, etc. People are going to see that as inappropriate, particularly for young people, understandably so. But there's also a way in which it's kind of not that daring at the same time, because this is the sort of thing that we're expected to celebrate. And if you dare not celebrate it or not like it, then you've got everything that's coming to you. That's the kind of culture that he operates in now, it feels like. And
Rakib, we know with you're alluding to the sort of power of the trans movement. It seems as if new historical figures are being turned into trans or non-binary as well. It's not just people declaring themselves to be non-binary, but we've heard recently claims from academics that perhaps Jesus Christ was non-binary or trans, or Joan of Arc was presented as non-binary in a recent play at the Royal Shakespeare Company. Again, that had the sort of backing of academics. Queen Elizabeth I has been spoken of as a sort of non-binary figure. I mean, what do you make of that? This kind of reaching back into the past and declaring people to have this identity that seemingly was invented only 5 minutes ago.
I'm just at a loss. I really am. I think that in the case of Jesus Christ, it was someone suggesting that a wound that he had suffered resembled female genitalia, so there's a possibility that he has some kind of trans identity. I think there's a point that I made on one of our previous podcasts. I'm very glad that no one said that about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The backlash to that would have really been something. But I think it shows a real desperation in a way, and I think it's actually a form of historical revisionism. In a sense, so I just think that the radical transgender movement, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't bring anything good to the table. Quite the opposite. It's beginning to delve into matters of history, looking to ultimately change just our basic understanding of social order when it comes to matters of identity. I thought that Ella Whelan, one of our columnists here, I thought she was fantastic on Question Time, really pushing back on radical transgenderism, talking about the integrity of sensitive female-only spaces, and it's also very important that it poses a threat to women's sports as well. And I think that we've seen that in recent times. So I'm glad to see that the counter challenge to that is gathering pace, and long may that continue.